South African, a very warm welcome to you. This is Afternoon Express. My name is Jeannie D. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend and are now fully energized to go into this wonderful week ahead. So before we begin the show today, we would like to send our sincerest condolences to the family of actor Sibusiso Kwinana, who passed away tragically this past weekend. Sibusiso played the character of Lefo in the new film Matwetwe, which premiered in cinemas recently. And then, of course, we also send our deepest condolences to the family of Toriso Temane, who passed away last week. A really, really disturbing video of the young man being beaten to death shook the country to its core. And sadly, it is one of the very many videos that we see on our social media platforms lately. Which brings us to the topic for today. The recent spate of stabbing and attacks at learning institutions across South Africa has become cause for major concern. Violence in South African schools includes threats of violence, psychological abuse, robbery, physical assaults, gang violence, corporal punishment, sexual violence, and of course, bullying. In the loft today, we chat to Dr. Genevieve Da Silva, an educational psychologist, Carmen De Vos from the Parent Centre, and Jonavon Rustin, the Provincial Secretary of SADTU in the Western Cape, about the increase in school violence between students and teachers, and of course, if social media plays a part in perpetuating the crisis that we are currently facing. Join the conversation online and tell us how you think children should be disciplined at school and at home by tweeting us at Afternoon Chat using the official hashtag Afternoon Express or comment on our Facebook page.
So violence is never the answer, and I believe that the content on today's show is so vital, and we're right on the pulse of what's happening in our country. Hi, my name is Michaela Tsuen. Welcome to Afternoon Express, and beside me in the kitchen is Michaela. Michaela, you seem to have quite a nice spread for us here today.
We do. So we're making some of our homemade bread, and then we're going to use that bread to make delicious French toast with a plum sauce.
So it's like a two-part recipe.
It is.
I can't wait for that. Now on to more delicious things. This past Saturday, we attended the 9th annual Veuve Clicquot Masters Polo at the absolutely luxurious Val De Vie Estate. Now I've had an absolute blast, and it was so lovely to see so many beautiful people under the African sun. So let's have a look at some of our favorite moments. The Veuve Clicquot Masters Polo is one of the most renowned polo events around the world, and I think this year is the best yet. But just how luxurious is the Masters Polo? Let's go find out from the event organizers. So today I'm meeting a range of very interesting people, and standing next to me is Mike Ellingworth, who is the country manager of Veuve Clicquot. Mike, I believe that this is the 9th annual Masters Polo. What's the history behind the event?
So polo has been something that the brand has been a part of for many, many years. Prestigious events across the continent, and this is our 9th polo event in South Africa. Naturally, we're also part of the Veuve Clicquot Polo in LA and New York as well. So we've got a long history.
So today we have the sport that is polo and the brand that is Veuve. How do the two come together?
It's something that was established some time ago. You know, polo is a fantastic sport, and it's something that we've been part of for many, many years.
Today you went with the Colorama theme. How do you think some of the attendees executed it?
Well, I've seen a few interesting interpretations of Colorama. Colorama is quite an interesting theme, and it's quite maybe difficult to interpret. But for us as Veuve Clicquot, colour is a really integral part of our brand, and it's through everything. It's a source of inspiration for us. So nice to see it bringing to life today.
I'm standing with Rake Neerkling, who is Val De Vie Estate's marketing director. I mean, the sun is out, the colours are out, but the main reason we're here is for the polo. How do you think today's main polo event will play out, having such high-ranking professional polo players on our team?
We've got 3 of the best players in the country, actually that the country has ever produced, that's going to be on the field here. Some of the old guys, and so I'm really excited about the match. And then obviously you've got everything that happens off the field, what most people are here for. The bubbly, the fashion, and just the great socializing in this incredible environment.
This year's polo was attended by the country's biggest influencers, thought leaders and media personalities from across the African continent, as well as Hollywood actor Terrence J. What makes this the social event of the calendar?
I would say it's the type of people that come and embrace the occasion. And it's just all about lifestyle and just showcasing fashionable sense. You know what I'm saying? People just being fashionable and expressing themselves and just having fun.
So I'm here with a proud SABC3 family member, SAFTA nominated trending SA presenter, the People's Doctor. Unjanmos.
I'm very well. How are you?
We're good. We out here divot stomping, and apparently that's a thing. It's a tradition.
What is it?
He's like, what is that? That is when, move back.
Okay.
We stomp these things and we put it back into the ground.
Oh, so the where the hoofs were, is where we're putting it back.
Is where we're putting it back.
I'm sending invoices for what we're doing.
So clearly you don't know much about polo.
No, I know a lot about polo. So what happens is it's a game of 8 people. They're on a field and it's 4 per team, and the aim is to score.
You are not convincing, but surprisingly you got it right.
I am right. I mean, of course.
Daytime elegance and chic, color blocking ranging from yellows and blush pinks is the fashion theme for today. Or you can just say, colorama.
Now, discipline problems in our schools seems to be deteriorating at a rapid rate. Joining us to discuss this permanent matter is Educational Psychologist Genevieve Da Silva, who will talk to us about where the lack of discipline and respect stems from with regards to the teacher-student dynamic. Now, the next clip you're about to see is a very disturbing video of these violent incidents at schools. Please be advised that it is not for sensitive viewers.
Give me your phone. You shall not have this. This is against the code of conduct. How you need? How you? You pushed me. It shows you that is not showing
I mean, that is just, I've got, my blood has run cold. That is so disturbing.
My heart is beating.
I know. What is happening in our schools?
You know, I don't even know where to start. It's so difficult to actually find the words to put together what's happening. And I think we see something like that and you ask yourself, how does anybody end up in that place? And especially children. How do young people end up in such a violent, unruly place? How do teachers who are there to care for their children, teach them, educate them, end up losing control, fighting back? And I think it's not an easy answer to answer. No. I think there's a lot of dynamics involved. And so it's trying to understand what all is playing a role in this. And we have to look at what's happening within a person. You know, nobody just reacts because there's things that go on inside of us, there's things that go on around us. And it's a dynamic between the inside and the outside that actually brings these things out into the open. And so there's a lot of factors involved with that.
Do you think behavior like this has always existed, but now because of social media we're hearing about it all the time because somebody's filming it, and then but do you think it's always existed, or now all of a sudden it's been exacerbated and our youth is just behaving worse?
Well, I think the question is, has it always been there? I think very likely it has been there. It's a very natural human emotion, anger. Aggression does come out. When you feel under threat, you react, you try to protect yourself. So what we're seeing, you know, when somebody feels attacked, what do? You protect yourself, and there's different ways that we do that without thinking. Our brain just kicks into either running away from a situation or fighting against a situation. So it's very normal human behavior. But the thing is, what is exacerbating it? And yeah, probably with social media, we're more aware of it. I think before social media was around, things were happening, but you didn't know about it, so you lived in ignorant bliss, really, where now it's in your face all the time. And so one incident that maybe occurs on this side of the country that you would have never known about, now that it's on social media, you're so aware of it. So instead of, you know, one incident in one area, you're now aware of 10 incidences in 10 areas. And so it makes all the difference.
I mean, who is at fault here? Is it lack of respect from children to teachers? Is it lack of respect from teachers to children? Because, what is the problem? And how can we fix it?
Oh, what is the problem? Like I said, when it comes to human behavior, when it comes to anything like this, you cannot just say it starts here.
Yeah.
It is a continual process of this affects this again, affects this again. And so it almost becomes like this downward spiral where the only way to break out of it is for somebody in that cycle to decide to react differently.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at, is it disrespect from children to teachers? Absolutely. I mean, we see that, you know, children are not necessarily aware or don't necessarily look up to their elders as they used to. It's a value that seems to be lost over time. Why has that happened? Possibly because as a society, you know, the interactions we have with each other, you know, children coming from families have deteriorated. You know, you maybe had smaller groupings of people, a mom and a dad and their children, maybe even a few families together, you know, local tribes, where you had elders who would teach your children the values, and this is how we are as a people group.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of faded away because people have moved from one place far away just in order to survive, to work. So children,
so they don't have that village raising a child environment anymore.
Very much. So that is definitely lacking in terms of, but who's teaching our children how they should be and respond? Yeah. And then at the same time, if I think about teachers, the overwhelming task that teachers do have to look after, to educate, to raise, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50, some schools 60 children in a class. You know, you have that responsibility to look after them, and you have the pressure of getting through your work and the admin, teaching the content, and then you still have your own personal life as well, and we don't know what's going on in teachers' personal lives. Yeah. And so once again, there's just an overwhelming effect that when you get faced in a situation that's just maybe the straw that breaks the camel's back, you react without necessarily thinking of the consequences. So it's a both and. Both affect each other.
What really bothers me, though, is the incredible and radical level of violence that these children are using, and the very low level of remorse.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? And do you think that has increased as well over years?
So I think, you know, when it comes to how we interact with each other, you know, a lot of it is, again, within that relationship where, you know, you put small children in a room together, walk away, and within a few minutes, somebody is fighting with somebody else. But somebody steps in to say, hey, that's not what we do. This is a better way to manage it. And so if we take where children are coming from, what they're exposed to, if we think about the gangsterism that's been increasing, the violence in communities that is increasing, poverty that's a problem, you know, family homes where there's violence in the home as well. You know, if children are exposed to violence upon violence upon violence, then we take, you know, what they're exposed to, not just in social media, but access to the internet, access to TV, and now to TV on demand. You know, you have all this access to things, and it becomes ingrained in a person. Exactly. You see it, you experience it, it becomes normal. And I also think with social media, it plays a really big role because your interactions with people are not the same as what they were. You know, if we had to meet each other, I see what's happening as I interact with you, and as I interact with you, I change my behavior based on what's happening. But on social media, you don't have that instant feedback. You put something out there, and you may or may not get a response, and even if you get a response, it's not genuine necessarily. So if you are engaging, say, in violent behavior, verbal abuse, playing your TV games where you're shooting people, the person dies, but it's not real, so why would it be any different in the real world? You're creating a sort of reality that's not real.
I suppose kids are just so desensitized nowadays. Well, wow, thank you so much for coming and chatting to us. We'll chat to you a little bit later on the show. Thank you very much for being here.
It just makes me so emotional to think how violent schools have turned. A place that's meant to be safe, a place that you're meant to be so confident in to send your child to. Please remember to join the conversation and tell us how you think children should be disciplined at schools and at home by tweeting us at Afternoon Chat using the hashtag Afternoon Express, or by commenting on our Facebook page. We're really keen to hear your ideas. Now, after the break, we prepare a very comforting slice of homemade milk bread. Plus, we review the new LG V40 ThinQ smartphone. I've been playing around with this phone and it is incredible.
Clover Crush, 100% pure fruit juice packed with vitamins and no added sugar. Crush, your daily dose of goodness. Now also available in long life. Made with love by Clover.
Clover Fresh milk is way better. Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express on this gorgeous Monday afternoon. Now, there's nothing more comforting than a warm slice of homemade bread made with only a few ingredients and the freshest milk out there. The fresh milk bread recipe is bound to be a popular one in your kitchen thanks to Clover Fresh milk. So keep the butter and cheese ready. SMS the keyword Clover to 33650 to get this recipe sent to your device. SMSs cost R1.50 and free SMSs do not apply. Michaela, I'm keen to get stuck in. I see that you've already gone ahead of me.
Exactly. So we've started the process already. In here we have our fresh clover cream and our fresh clover milk. Okay. We've added our sugar into there and we've let our yeast bloom. Okay. Always put the yeast in at room temperature or body temperature.
Let me help you.
Thank you. So, I also need this.
Okay.
We're going to pour the wet into the dry.
So room and body temperature.
Yes. So when you dip your finger into the milk, it needs to feel like nothing. That's how you know if something is body temperature.
Okay.
And our salt.
Got you.
And we give that a mix.
All right.
Okay, let me assist you there.
I've actually never heard of a milk bread.
Milk breads are generally quite soft. Okay. They have a really good texture. Also, there's quite a bit of sugar in here, so it's got more of a sweet flavour. It's more like a dessert roll.
Nice, okay.
So we're just going to flour our surface.
Oh, to make sure it doesn't stick? I can help you with that.
And we are going to drop our dough onto the surface.
Ooh, I feel that. Okay,
exactly.
I feel that
How soft is that?
It makes all the difference, hey?
So now we just
I should have
combine it all together.
Flour on my hands too, huh?
Yes. So my way of doing kneading is to always go in and press it out.
In
so you
and
can
out.
give that a try.
I didn't even know there was technique to baking.
Everyone
but here we
has
are.
their own. Some people also prefer to do it by going one across, one across. It all depends on actually how much height you have. I find I'm quite short, so I need to put as much like force
power
into it. Exactly.
Okay. I mean, who needs the gym when you can just knead bread?
Exactly, right?
I mean, my arms are working here, but then again, I'm not the fittest person in South Africa. So
well, you seem pretty fit, so that's fine.
Okay, cool.
So once we've done that, we're just going to pop it into a bowl, and we're going to cover it with some cling wrap.
Okay, now my hands are all dirty, but it's
Mine too, it's okay. Don't you just love the smell of yeast, though? It's such like a comforting, warm
and especially with the subject matter on the show today, we need something that's just going to warm our hearts.
Exactly.
I think that this bread is exactly that.
So then we're going to let this sit until it's risen to double the size.
Okay.
And then once it has risen and proved, we then tap it out. You then use your fingers to push it back down a little.
Okay.
Roll it into whatever shape you want. I usually do a circle. Okay, and then what you do is you wrap the bread in under itself.
Okay.
So you fold it in and you put it into the tin like it is. And then we're just going to egg wash it. This has some milk and some egg.
And why do we egg wash it? Just for some people who aren't bakers out there?
It gives it that luscious sheen, and it also helps with the colouring.
Oh, I see how you've done that perfectly here on the finished product.
Exactly. How beautiful is that loaf?
Yeah.
And then once we are done with that. You put this in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes or until it's the right kind of golden brown. You don't want it too brown.
Yes.
And if it does start to look a little bit too brown, you just turn your oven down a little bit.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Michaela.
Pleasure.
I think I'm definitely going to be trying this later. And I know that later also we're going to do step 2.
Exactly.
Making French toast.
It's going to be so delicious.
Yummy! Now remember to SMS the keyword Clover to 33650 to get this recipe sent to you. And if you need to see how this is made one more time, here's a quick recap.
Made with love by Clover.
Now, the LG V40 smartphone was recently launched in South Africa and is currently available exclusively at Vodacoms. It's part of LG's new ThinQ lineup, which features an extensive range of smart and AI products that are designed to enhance your life. Now, we're lucky enough to get our hands on one, and I've been having so much fun playing with it. Honestly, it is amazing. It's got so many different features, especially my favorite, if anyone follows me on social media, is the camera, because it doesn't have one, not dual, not a triple cam, but it has 5 cameras in one. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, on the front, there's 2 cameras, as you can see. There's a standard lens, of course, and that helps you take the perfect selfies. I mean, that's incredible for me, because when my face is beat, honey, I want to get it as close as possible. So I truly love taking selfies, and this is perfect for that. And then we also have a wide-angle lens, which also allows you to fit in more people in your picture, and you can have your friends in for that perfect selfie. I mean, you have a selfie and then you have an assy. This, honestly, will help you get there. Now, on the back of the camera, there are a whopping 3 cameras. There's obviously a telephoto lens, which allows you to zoom into objects that are far away. I mean, I live in Cape Town. We've got incredible views, so I love that zooming in function. And then you also have a standard lens, which captures absolutely everything around, and also a wide lens angle that also allows you to capture as wide as the eye can see. This is absolutely amazing. And the cycle between the different ones is perfect for focusing. I mean, let me show you. You guys saw my selfies earlier in the makeup room. We were having so much fun with it, so this camera definitely helps you achieve that. We've got some exciting news for you as well. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow, because we're launching a competition where you can walk away with your very own LG V40 ThinQ. With 5 cameras, a boombox speaker, and an award-winning LG OLED display. It's definitely what you want to get your hands on. Definitely one of these. These details will be announced on the show, though. Now, after the break, we continue the conversation about violence taking place in our schools with Jonavon Rustin, who is the Provincial Secretary of the South African Democratic Teachers Union here in the Western Cape. See you after the break.
Clover Crush, 100% pure fruit juice packed with vitamins and no added sugar. Crush, your daily dose of goodness. Now also available in long life.
Made with love by Clover.
back to Afternoon Express. Now, according to statistics, the majority of violence occurring in schools takes place in the classroom. Now, this violence often occurs when educators are unable to manage and control their class or when the class is left without supervision. Classroom violence poses a significant barrier to learning. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you very much.
Tell us exactly, you're from SADTU. What exactly is SADTU? What does it do? And what does it stand for?
SADTU is the South African Democratic Teachers Union, formed in 1990. We're a trade union that represents teachers, but we have a broader scope to look at the overall transformation of education within South Africa.
Amazing. I think it's so important to understand what the rights are of teachers, what the roles and obligations are of students. So let's start off with any relevant cases where perhaps a teacher was harmed by a student in the classroom. What happened and what was the outcome?
Let me relate to, there are many to share, but there's one specific one that took place on the Cape Flats. The educator was in the classroom. A colleague came to his door to ask him for some information. Turned around, his lunch was stolen by the learners. He came into the classroom and inquired what happened to his lunch and offered to share the sandwich with whoever had taken the lunch. One of the learners got up and started to verbally abuse the educator. The other learners then said that he was the culprit who took the lunch. The teacher asked him to stand at the door to wait for him so he could speak to him. When he got outside, the learner assaulted him with a fist. He then had a scuffle with the learner outside, trying to constrain him. The teacher next door came out of the classroom, big commotion. The learner ran home. What the learner then did was to come with a group of friends who belonged to a gang. The principal was then compelled to lock the teacher up in the safe at the school while he called the police. The parents of the learner then mobilized the community to assault the teacher. The police had to escort the educator from the premises. He was away from school for about a month and returned. He was traveling by public transport. When he got off the bus in the area, the community spotted him and chased him where a passerby motorist had to pick him up and take him to the nearest police station. In this incident, when the learner came back to the school, they assaulted him with a pipe, with a cricket bat, and he sustained a number of injuries. That educator is away from school for the past 3 years, can't return back to the community. That's one of the...
And he didn't do anything wrong?
He did nothing wrong. That's the type of violence we have in our institutions.
But why is that happening?
I think that there is a level of intolerance within our communities, and that spills over from the community to the school. I think young people do not know how to handle conflict well. I think that there's a great need for us to learn them social skills so that it translates in respect, peace, and tolerance within the school setup. And we are lacking in that regard.
I just feel so sorry for teachers because I think it's such a thankless job. They don't get paid super well to be there. And I mean, their jobs are to inspire, to educate. It should be such a loving relationship. And yet we're seeing the opposite. Whose role is it to protect these teachers? I mean, children firstly aren't allowed to be disciplined at home. And now they're not allowed to be disciplined at school. I mean, what are teachers supposed to do to control these classrooms?
Well, I think that teachers need to have some intensive training so that we can actually take back the profession to ensure that we have values driven within our schools, values driven in our classrooms, and it needs to translate into the home and the community as well. From a legal point of view, you need to have the employer. Any employer must ensure that its employees are safe in their workplace. And that is guaranteed in terms of the constitution of the country, as well as the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
But that's not really happening, like what we're seeing now with this teacher, that, I mean, he couldn't go to work for so many months and years because he was under such threat. How is he being protected?
I think that sometimes our employers are acting very shabby in this regard. What we should do is to have interventions in the community, had the community liaison officer speak to this, the community to say that you need to hear the other side of the story. In this case, this boy was absolutely wrong to assault a teacher. Of course, if you spread a story outside to say that the teacher is the one who had transgressed, you then sweep up the community to take that particular stance and posture in this regard. But important is also, and schools must build a bridge between themselves and the community. The parents and the neighbors, and everybody must believe that the school belongs to them. Take ownership of the school so that you make sure that the school where your learners are attending are safe havens for everybody.
Absolutely. And there really does need to be that respect for the institution, respect for those schools, because it's only then that you're actually going to successfully be educated. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today.
Now, this new LG V40 ThinQ is giving us all the feels, and with its incredible camera functions. Now, by hands down, this is one of my favorite features on the phone. It's got a triple shot function. Yep, you heard me. Those are 3 photos all in one, and it's got some next level technology, and it'll take your Instagram game to a whole new level. Now, I have to show you guys step by step. You can focus on this gorgeous spread we made earlier. Just switch the camera to triple shot function. You take 1 click and it already takes that picture. Already we can start seeing the different angles that it allows us. And then to preview your camera, or your picture rather, it just loads. It takes 2 seconds to load up, and as it loads up, it'll show you from a far out zoom picture, and it goes closer and closer and closer and closer. I mean, this is so incredible. Next level technology here with LG. So incredible. I mean, you can have so much fun. You can go to the beach with your friends. I mean, I hate zooming in because I think it disturbs the quality of the picture. But here, you don't have to do it. So tomorrow, we'll be unpacking some of the other cool features that come hand in hand with this must-have smartphone. Remember, we'll also be launching an incredible competition here where you can stand a chance to walk away with your very own LG V40 ThinQ. So make sure you tune in for all those details. Now we prepare a delicious spicy plum and vanilla French toast after the break. And later, Carmen De Vos, who is the senior social worker at the Parent Centre, joins us on the couch to discuss the concerns that parents have regarding discipline in schools. Do join us in the conversation and give us your input on how you think children should be disciplined at school and at home by tweeting us at Afternoon Chat using the hashtag Afternoon Express, or comment on our Facebook page. See you after the break. welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, breakfast is not only the most important meal of the day, but with a little know-how, it can also become the most delicious dish of the day. Now, we've already made our delicious milk bread, and let's see how Michaela uses it to make a delicious French toast dish. I mean, I grew up on French toast after school every day. I used to be in the kitchen. It was the quickest thing to make, easy, and I know that, you know,
and delicious.
Delicious, exactly.
So in this bowl, we already have our cream, vanilla, eggs, and some honey, and we're going to dip our bread in there, so let it soak. While that's happening, in the pan, we're going to add our plums, some sugar.
Those plums look so delicious and ripe.
How beautiful is that color, though? Some honey, lemon zest, cinnamon, and some lemon juice.
I already feel like this French toast has gone to private school.
It's so upper class.
Mine did not have all these ingredients. Okay, but I'm taking notes.
Okay, so we're gonna let that cook. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and then we're gonna let it simmer until it's gone soft and it looks the right consistency.
Okay, perfect.
Then in this pan, I have some oil going on. You can put a chunk of butter in there.
I mean, the more butter, the better.
Oh, listen to that sizzle. Okay, and then we're gonna take our French toast mixture and give that a swish around.
Okay, perfect. I mean, if you just joined us and you want to find out how to make this at home, SMS the keyword treat to 33650, and you can also be making a delicious private school French toast. You're right? I know,
basically. We never had it at this level. It was always just cinnamon and sugar.
And sugar, yeah, I use sugar. Sugar was my...
Some bacon as well, if you were lucky.
I was never lucky.
So we're just going to let that carry on cooking.
Okay, cool. Next step.
And then we're going to assemble.
Cool.
So we have some pre-made one over here. We're going to do a layer of our French toast. We have some creme fraiche here. Everyone loves creme fraiche.
I do.
Do a dollop of creme fraiche on there. Give it a swish. We're just going to...
Michaela, my hands are so dirty. Please pass me a cloth. I really want to help you. There we go.
Okay, so we're going to put some plum sauce on. You can grab another slice for us. We're going to do a triple layer one, you know, just to be a little bit extra bougie.
Whoa, triple layer. This is, you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but if you do it like this, you're doing it right. So let me hold it
Exactly.
for you. What else can we add to this recipe to kind of take it up a notch?
You know, everything is good with a bit of spice. But if you wanted to do a savory version of this, it's also perfect. You can do bacon maple syrup, always a winner.
Always. That sounds delicious.
That's actually my favorite.
I think I'm going to try that, yeah.
And then, of course, we're going to top it off with a little bit more of our sauce. And unfortunately, I used all the plums earlier, but
no one's complaining. No one's complaining.
Exactly.
Oh, delicious.
And then, of course, we always finish everything with a bit of icing sugar because icing sugar makes everything better. If I could get the bag open. There we go.
Okay.
Dish a scoop.
You see, it's almost done because we've definitely been diving in, so... Oh, there we go. Am I doing the right thing, by the way?
Yes. Put it in and give it a tap.
Ooh.
Keep tapping it. It's
Presentation is everything.
Look like a gentle snowfall.
There we go.
Oh, how beautiful does that look?
That looks delicious. I actually want to have some now. I really do believe in having breakfast for dinner as well.
Yes.
And I think that this is it. And this is the perfect mix between dinner and dessert.
So much so.
Yes. Okay.
You don't have to feel as guilty as well. It's not that unhealthy.
Remember to SMS the keyword treats to 33650 if you want to try this at home. Over to you, Jeannie.
That really does look delicious, buddy. Wow. Now back to our topic at hand. According to UNESCO, violence in schools has short and long-term consequences for the victims as well as for the perpetrators and bystanders. School violence transforms the school environment into one of fear and anxiety, which hampers the educational environment and consequently prevents young people from fully benefiting from the educational opportunities. So now talking to us on behalf of the parents is Carmen De Vos from the Parent Centre. Welcome to the show, Carmen.
Good afternoon.
What exactly is the Parent Centre and what do you stand to do?
Okay, so the Parent Centre, we're a non-profit organisation. We're based in the Wynberg area here in Cape Town. And basically what we do is we really support parents. We teach parents positive parenting skills because ultimately we're wanting to help parents to raise resilient children.
amazing. Now, if you're a parent yourself, so what do you think are the biggest issues when it comes to parents and their children's schools?
Okay, so I think from our side, so speaking as a parent, but mainly with the parents that I work with, I think the major concern that we have is the fact that since corporal punishment has been taken out, we are finding that verbal abuse is on the increase. So a lot of children are coming home from school complaining about how the teachers are now speaking to them, labeling them, calling them ugly names.
And that
which
can
in fact
scar
also,
more than...
Yes. So it seems like maybe the heating has been taken away, so now it's been replaced by that. So the one main thing would be the sort of the verbal abuse. We are finding that teachers are reporting that children are misbehaving in the school, and very often when they come for counselling, we find out that this learner might have a learning disability. But like the doctor in the first segment said, the classes are so overcrowded. And then very often the teacher's also overwhelmed, and with 40, 45 learners in the class, the teacher might not have been able to pick up that this learner does have a learning disability.
What do you do in the instance where parents come to you and their child is the problem in class?
Okay, so I think first and foremost, we acknowledge parents' frustrations. We also do praise them the fact that they came forward, because it's also not easy. And once the parent then does come forward, we will try and look at what is happening in the child's life. So when I spoke earlier on about our positive parenting skills, we look at factors affecting behavior. We look at what has been happening in the home. Could there be a reason why the child may be behaving a certain way? We look at unmet needs. We speak to parents about acknowledging children's feelings. And something as small as, sometimes they come home from school and they're frustrated because of what has happened. And if the child then says, maths was so difficult today, instead of just saying, well, I paid your school fees, you need to do your homework, we're saying to parents, take the time to listen. So we teach listening skills, we teach the parents to listen, we teach parents to acknowledge the feelings, speak about the difficult day that that child had.
Like I've asked the questions to two of our previous guests, what is going on in our schools? And the problem is there's so many things going on that where do you even start to look? I mean, the teachers could be having issues of their own. The student could be having so many other problems. Do you find that it's often the case that a child is in a problem, that a child that is a problem in school probably comes from a home of abuse or, alcoholism or single-parent homes or learning disabilities? Is it almost always linked to something else when a child behaves badly in that environment?
Definitely. I mean, in one of our sessions that we teach, we speak about linking feelings with behavior. And again, it's about needing to identify the feeling. Why is this child angry? Why is this child frustrated? Because children behave badly because they feel badly. And that is something that is what we try and teach the parents to see. We need to find out what is the underlying issue. But very often, yes, a child who's feeling victimized or maybe abused at home might then in turn go to school and misbehave because they're gaining the power, whereas they might be feeling completely helpless at home.
And are there any statistics that prove that the minute corporal punishment was made illegal in the home and at schools, that it did exacerbate change in children's behavior?
I'm not clear about the direct research that maybe has been done, but from our side at the Parent Centre, we are definitely saying that the stopping of violence needs to start in the home, and that is why we do advocate for no corporal punishment in the home.
So then what options do children and parents have? I mean, I'm not advocating clapping your kid, but I mean, what other means of discipline should be enforced in the home and at schools?
I think first and foremost to say that parents need to realize that there's a major difference between punishment and discipline. Discipline is really all about teaching. And I think very often when we discuss discipline, we want to discuss it like in an isolated incident, whereas we believe that relationship building is also part of discipline. So even in the training that we do, discipline comes on, I think, like session 6, because those prior sessions is really about relationship building. Again, acknowledging feelings, ensuring healthy self-esteem, teaching assertiveness. Because if we're wanting children not to be fighting, we also need to learn how to be treating children with more respect and teaching them to be assertive and problem solving.
And children just need to be raised with a little bit more self-care and self-confidence. Because if you're confident and you care about yourself, I don't believe there's any way that you're going to behave in a manner that's going to just let yourself down like that. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Respect definitely goes two ways, and it is a two-way street. So after the break, we continue the chats with our guests on what we can do as a society to curb violence in our schools. You can also still put forward your thoughts on the matter by tweeting us at Afternoon Chat using the hashtag Afternoon Express, or please do comment on our Facebook page.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express, and we are back on the couch with Dr. Genevieve Da Silva, an educational psychologist, Carmen De Vos from the Parent Centre, and Jonavon Rustin, the Provincial Secretary of SADTU in the Western Cape. Violence and crime can result in higher educator turnover at schools and results in strained relationships between learners and staff. We as a society cannot continue to overlook the impact of crime and violence on educators and learners in this country. It is quite an issue. However, you know what I have heard over and over again is parents saying, oh, I paid this amount of school fees at school, I expect the teacher, and my child's a maniac. Parents are expecting teachers to do all the work. Okay. Is that what we're finding?
I think very much so. There's this idea that I'm paying somebody else to educate my children. Yeah. And I think I'm a parent, I have 3 boys, and so, you know what, it's not easy. But at the end of the day, I can take the time out to raise my 3 boys, instill in them values and discipline over a period of 18 years, or I can expect somebody else to do that for 60 children if they have 1 class in a year. I think that's a rather unfair expectation.
I know, but I was busy looking at the tweets at Afternoon Chat, and somebody says, I discipline my son at home, but he picks up behaviours at school. How do we deal with that? Yeah. Which I find is a very good question, because I think that happens a lot. I see with my godsons, little angels at home, and then with their buddies, they're little terrorists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, another one here says, what we're speaking about is parents taking responsibility at the end of the day and not shifting the blame. So, Diwan here on Facebook says, at Afternoon Express, my personal opinion is that when the head of the home, the father, I must lead by example. If I lead by a positive path and respect their mother, it will surely affect them positively. Manners and morals start at home. A lack of father's love can have a negative impact on a child, and it can take time for it to heal. I mean, I feel like that was so moving because we see the man taking full responsibility. A lot of times they say the mother must nurture. The mother, speak to your mother. If you do something wrong, go to your mother. But it's a dual thing. Two people have to come together.
Yes, now if I could answer there, I absolutely agree. The discipline starts at home. And as I said earlier on, it doesn't just start with discipline, it's that relationship building from a very young age. We need to be teaching children the difference between what's right or wrong. We need to be teaching them what is socially acceptable behavior, and definitely by role modeling. Whether it's something as small as teaching toddlers to tie their shoelaces, also the way parents speak to teachers. So yes, maybe there are challenges at school, but as a parent, you still need to remain respectful and you need to model that respect. So even when your child then complains about something happening at school, instead of you as a parent also bad-mouthing the teacher, adding to the child's negative feelings, you also do need to teach your child to remain respectful.
Yeah, and you had an answer for what happens when your children do pick up extra bad habits at school. Like, you can do so much at home, but then what happens at school?
So again, as a parent, it's my responsibility to help them navigate that. So even if my children are picking up habits at school, when I hear the stories coming home from school, if the teacher brings it up to me, or even if I see things going on, it's up to me to step in and say, even though your friends do this at school, we as a family, we do things differently. These are our values. This is how we carry it out. And these are things you can do at school in order to change that behavior, respond differently, or ask for help from your teacher or whatever other process is available.
And what are schools doing to help this environment? Because, I mean, if a teacher, I mean, as stressed as the teacher can be, and could be the best teacher in the world, if you've got a classroom of 60 students, at some point you're going to snap. So how are those teachers being protective? I mean, are there going to be more teachers in smaller classrooms? What can help?
Well, we would love that. We think that we need to relook at the post-provisioning model so that we can have a lower teacher-pupil ratio, which makes schools, classes more manageable. But what's important is that the learners understand that the parents are part of the education process. If the parent shows a keen interest in the work of the learner, it helps a lot. By attending parent-teacher meetings, helping with homework, even if you can't finish the maths in grade 10, show an interest. Check every day if what work you've done at the school, be in contact with the teacher, and also create a positive atmosphere towards the school. So that you involve in the education. If there are bullying at schools, report to the school, let the school deal with it decisively, but let's build a positive atmosphere at the institution.
But let's look at how many cases there are where children go to schools, and when teachers go to schools and both parties get bullied, they get reported and nothing gets done about it. How are we going to change the models of our schools that our teachers and our students feel safer?
I've got some stats available. I was looking earlier on at how many knifing incidents took place at schools. It's in the Western Cape. In the Western Cape in 2017, there were 18 knifing incidents in our schools, of which 1 fatality, 2 fatalities. In 2018, 90 knifings with 1 fatality. Assaults at schools. In 2017, 249.
Wow.
In 2018, 279. That means it's violent places. We need to...
And that's what's been reported.
That's reported. That's reported. We need to see how we build in our model for staffing of schools. We need social workers. We need counselors. We need parents to volunteer at school. You asked about what do you do with a child who misbehave. We strongly believe let the parent come to school and shadow the child for the day. So that you actually can monitor what happens within the classroom and also be able to empathize, help with the behavior problems, and in that way take responsibility for the behavior as well.
That's such an incredible idea. I mean, I think incorporating more of that family structure within the schools also can truly transform the mood. Because I remember going to school thinking, who's going to bully me today? Who's going to say what? I've always grown up really short, small framed, and people took advantage. So having this conversation is so crucial, and it's on time, because we're seeing so many scary stories daily.
Thank you so much for being here today. I mean, this is such an important conversation. I wish we had more time, because I think that it's something that we really do need to discuss even more until we start seeing a change. But thank you so much to all of our guests for being here. And thank you so much for joining us. It's such a pleasure having you with us every afternoon. Now join us for a mouth-watering cook-along tomorrow as we chat to one of our favourite South African couples, Bontle Mbodisele and Pretty Ugly, on their new musical collaboration. That's going to be really exciting.
They are definitely couple goals.
I usually get Pretty Ugly in the kitchen, but tomorrow's going to be a whole other story. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night and God bless.
Cheers.
Bye.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.